Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 2. Crystal Palace win the Community Shield on penalties. Now, I always try to be a good loser, so I will be. And I'll congratulate the Crystal Palace players on their win. I think they deserved it. And their manager, I think he deserved it. But I'm not congratulating their disgusting fans for what they did during that minute's silence, which was absolutely horrendous. I mean, what kind of a lowlife are you to do that during the minute's silence for two players who have just died in a tragic accident? Absolute scum. If you're one of them watching this, you're absolute scum. And you know what? Before I get onto the game, I do actually want to mention as well that not a word was said about that from TNT at all. They were embarrassed at the time, but not a single word was said about it for the rest of the coverage or the post-match interviews. And that includes Steve McManaman, who was waxing lyrical about the wonderful Crystal Palace fans and how much they support the team. Get a grip. Call it out like you should do. Anyway, the tributes from Liverpool and Crystal Palace, the club, were wonderful, as they should be. And it was another lovely moment, apart from the minute silence, to celebrate the life of Diogo and Andre. So onto the game, and I'm not going to do a play-by-play of the game. I'm just going to focus on the pros and cons, what we learned today in that game, and in combination with some of the other pre-season games as well, some of the patterns that have formed. So I've got to start the pros with the first goal. Ekitike and Wirtz, the combination play between them, 4 times they interchanged, and the finish was sublime. The passion and movement from both of them was sublime, and it was a brilliant start, and it shows the type of quality that we've brought into the squad. Ekitike as well, in terms of some of his layoffs, his deft touches, his movement, causing the Crystal Palace defence problems by dropping deep, was all really, really good to see. And Florian Wirtz, I mean, the lad's a sensation, and he was once again man of the match. I think he's going to be man of the match most of the season, to be honest. But again, his way to pass, his vision, his timing, he always seems to find time, he always seems to find space, and he always seems to pick out the right pass, and he's a joy to behold. So those two in particular, I thought really excelled today, until they tired later on, and then they both actually got substituted. The other positive, in defence, there wasn't a lot of positives in defence, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit, but I thought Jeremy Frimpong had another really good game up and down that right wing. He did some underlapping with Salah, who was a bit quiet, but Frimpong was the outlet on the right hand side today. And he also did some stellar defensive work as well. He's like a little terrier, and once he does get into that situation with an attacker, he doesn't let them go. They rarely get past him, so that was really good to see as well. In the centre, Konate had a very good game as well. He did so much good stuff, clearing the ball, winning so many duels, so many headers, and apart from diving in once when he got booked for it, he was, in general, along with Frimpong, the highlights of the back four. I'll get to the rest of the back four in a bit. Alisson as well was his usual self in goal. Saved a couple of one-on-ones, just excelled. He had no chance. One of them was a penalty, the other one was a very good finish, which he really didn't have any chance of saving. But a really, really good outing, especially after just coming back and being away on compassionate leave. So those were the pick of the bunch. Another positive is that we scored another 2 goals and could have scored more. There were several big chances that we didn't put away, but that means now we've scored 22 goals in the 7 pre-season games. which averages over 3 goals per game, and we missed a whole host of chances in all of the games as well. So it could easily have been more than 3 per game. And just how incredible was it that on 20 minutes and 20 seconds, as the Liverpool crowd rises as one to celebrate Diogo and Andre, an errant cross from Frimpong is guided into the far corner of the net. I don't know what to make of it. Me and my lads just looked at each other. We actually rewound it to see, and it was 20 minutes and 20 seconds when our forever number 20 surely had something to do with that goal going in. It was just one of those inexplicable and wonderful little moments that you get in football. Another thing I'm going to add to the positive list is Chris Kavanagh and Paul Tierney did not give a penalty against us for a McAllister handball, and I'm absolutely shocked. I was shocked it wasn't given in the first place, and then when it went to VAR and it was Paul Tierney, I'd have bet my house on it, and he didn't give it. Maybe they're just saving it up for the proper season, because this one doesn't really matter. I think we got away with one. That could easily have been given, but it wasn't. So onto the things that I'm not going to call cons, I'll call areas for improvement, or areas that Arne Slot needs to focus on. And there were a few. But I will, again, use the caveat on this, is that it's pre-season. It's a glorified friendly. Yeah, it's the last game before the Premier League kicks off next week, but still, it's a pre-season game. More importantly than anything else, you get away with no injuries, and it's all about building up more understanding and building up more fitness. So that all has to be taken into account when I talk about these next few things, because I'm really not putting them down as massive negatives, just areas of some concern for Arne Slot. The first one is that we conceded another 2 goals, and that's 11 now in 7 games, which averages out at 1.6 goals per game, which is a lot. That's high. And once again, Crystal Palace could have scored more. So we actually got away with them only scoring 2. And it certainly is playing on Arne Slot's mind too, because in the post-game interview, that's one of the things he highlighted. He said, we conceded 2 goals, and we also conceded 2 goals to Athletic Club, and we also conceded 4 to AC Milan. And he said, we need to get better at that. It's not something that he's just blowing off and saying, it's pre-season. It's certainly something that he will be addressing. And part of that was that the back 4 in general was not working as a unit. And they were getting caught out. The line wasn't right. They weren't all moving back and forth at the same time. And that's not a surprise, considering that 2 of the back 4 are brand new. But it was too easy for Crystal Palace to knock the ball just through or over the back line and get in very easily. The first goal that they scored was because of one of them, and then it ended up with Virgil taking the player down. But it was all because of the inability of the back line to keep the attackers at bay. And this was exacerbated by the fact that we didn't have Ryan Gravenberch there as the shield in front of them. And he's not underestimated by Liverpool fans, but my God, you really do see what he brings when he's not there. And congratulations, Ryan, on being a new dad. That's absolutely brilliant, and we're made up for you. The other one, which I actually would put into the category of a concern, was Milos Kerkez. And not just today, but in his last couple of performances. There were 2 occasions that I saw in the first half where Palace broke down the right, and I didn't know where he was. Couldn't see him. Now obviously I'm only looking at the screen, but you can see most of that half, and he wasn't there. He was miles out of position, and you can't do that. It's got to be done the way Andy Robertson has done it for years, the way Frimpong showed today, where you get up and down, but you cannot be left stranded up front while they break down the right wing. Also, when he was in position, he was standing off too much and he was allowing them to cross the ball while he was standing 5 yards off, and it made it very, very easy for the winger. So a bit of concern there. Now, he's only 21 and he's brand new on the big stage. So again, not reading too much into it, but at this stage of his development, is he the right choice to be our first choice left back? Or should this season be where he evolves into the role while the tried and trusted and still excellent Andy Robbo takes the starting position? And this reminded me a little bit last year when Slot played Kwanzaa and realised he was a little out of his depth at this stage of his development and immediately changed him for Kanate. Now, we'll see how that goes, but if it was me, I would have Andy Robbo as first choice and Kerkez playing a lot of games, playing a lot of time, but learning his trade rather than just throw him straight in. One other observation, and it's a minor concern, but when I look at his game overall, I'm not too concerned. But one of the things when we bought Ekitike was that he doesn't have a very good big chance conversion rate, and his big chance conversion rate is only at 12.8%. Just to let you know, Darwin Nunez's was 11.1, and Mo Salah last season was 16.5, Gakpo last season was 17.5, and Diaz was 18.3. And that played on my mind a bit when he headed a gilt-edged chance over to basically seal the game. That would have made it 3-1. And then moments later, Gakpo puts him in again and he balloons it over the bar from about 8 or 9 yards. That also would have made it 3-1. And there were two really big chances and he didn't take them. So again, he's only 22, again he's new in the team, etc, etc, but he has a history of missing big chances, and it's something that he can, and I'm sure will, improve on with the coaching of Slot and all the players around him. But I had to point it out. The last one, and this has been a long-standing concern of mine, if you've ever watched these videos you'll know it, but Cody Gakpo, who had a very good game, I think, in moments in the attacking phases, where he did set up Ekitike twice and should have had 2 assists, but he wimps out of challenges. He does, and he did it again today. He did it in the first half when he was muscled off the ball too easily, left in a pile on the turf, waving at the referee for a foul, and it wasn't. He was just out-muscled. And he did it again in the second half, and it led directly to their equaliser. And once again, it was too easy, and he's going for a foul. You've got to get tougher, Cody, lad. You've got to start putting these challenges in. Get them in there, win your duels. You cannot go in half-arsed in the Premier League, and it's been a pattern of your play for too long, and you need to toughen up, lad. You're a fantastic left winger, but you cannot allow players to bully you off the ball, and that's what's happening. Sorry, but it is. There's only one other thing to mention on the ODA side of things today, and that was Salah's repeat penalty from the last game, where he ballooned it again miles over the bar. Not good, but he's Mo Salah, and the season starts next week, and the cobwebs will be off, and we'll see the same Mo Salah as we've seen for the past few seasons. I'm absolutely certain of it. So all in all, a decent performance, a decent run out, some things to work on, some very good things, and I'm sure now the team will step it up and be ready for Bournemouth, which is now only 5 days away on Friday night under the lights. I won't lose any sleep over the fact that we didn't add a Community Shield to our trophy haul. In fact, I realised I can tell you exactly what the Champions Wall says, but I've no idea how many charity/community shields we've won. Good for Crystal Palace for winning it. Congratulations to the team, the players and the manager. But Crystal Palace fans, hang your head in shame. You'll never walk alone. Cheers. Ta-ra.